Hey guys, and welcome to the DBGA podcast, a podcast where we interview top level executives inside leading and growing companies in the beauty and e-commerce industry. Excited to have our guest today, Courtney Claghorn. We'll be diving into her story and a little bit about what her company does and some engaging insights into the beauty industry. So I'll go ahead and kick it off to you, Courtney. Could you please introduce yourself and tell a quick snippet of your story and your background prior to working at Sugared and Bronzed?
Sure. I don't know if there's much of a background prior to starting Sugared and Bronze. I was so young when it started. I went to University of Colorado at Boulder, where I met my then boyfriend, now husband, and also co-founder. And when I graduated in 2009, it was rough economic times. We both had corporate jobs that we just didn't love, and I was overpaying for spray tans. And so we each put in $500 and started the business literally out of our Santa Monica apartment. But this was all while I was working at a fintech company. And my co-founder also didn't quit his job at the time either. So I quit my job. Probably I had worked in the corporate world for like a year and a half by the time I quit to open our first retail store. And then my now husband quit maybe 3 years in, but that was really like my only real work experience besides like serving tables in college before I started the business.
Okay, got it. And so, thank you so much for sharing this. And so, you explained a little bit how you got into this industry, but what is about your job or industry that you're passionate about?
I mean, I love just making people happy when they come in to get sugared or to get a spray tan. They just leave with a little extra pep in their step. They feel more confident. And I feel like when you just feel better about yourself, you're just a better person to everyone else in the world. So I love that. And, particularly in building our business, I've really loved creating a lot of not just jobs, but also careers.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And now that you've been in this industry for a while, based on your experience, what are the current trends in the market that you are aware of? What winds are blowing? What are you noticing?
Sure. I mean, it's been really interesting. I mean, we've been around for, oh my gosh, 13-ish years now. Oh my God, maybe more, 14. God, I've lost track. But, and I'm actually a math person. I think I just like to ignore how many years it's been because I start to feel old. But But yeah, it's been a really interesting wave. So I think at the beginning, we still had a lot of people who'd only done sort of like a mystic tan, a booth tan. They really hadn't been sprayed by hand by a person and gotten a custom airbrush tan. Now it's like every client's done that. It's really exciting if we have someone who's like, it's my airbrush tanning virginity, especially if they've never even done any sort of machine tan. We're like, that's wild. Most of our clients have done a machine tan and like a tan by a person at this point. And with sugaring, so I think, in terms of tanning, we continue to move away from beds and being in the sun. And we are, more and more aware of the damage. I think Australia was like 10, 20 years ahead of us on this memo, and we're finally catching up to that. So just seeing more and more people of all ages, races, male, female, all of that coming in more and more, which is great. And then on the sugaring side, there just wasn't a lot of awareness about sugaring 10 plus years ago. There was like a little bit in the US and like the Pacific Northwest, a little bit in Southern California, really not a lot of other places. And I think, even though it's an ancient Egyptian technique, we've, really started to see it, across the US at this point.
Awesome. And so now I would love to learn more about your company. And so could you tell me what services are over at Sugared and Bronzed?
Yeah, so we offer sugaring, which is the all natural form of hair removal, the ancient Egyptian technique. And most clients are coming in for Brazilians or bikinis, but you can also get your arms, legs, back sugared. At really just about anything. Men can't get like their facial hair sugared. That doesn't work. But most body parts can be sugared if there's hair. And then the other service is, custom airbrush tanning. So people come in and get a full body glow head to toe. And yeah, it's a really, really focused business. Like everyone who sugars or tans, they do that all day long. We call them sprayers or sugaristas. And they are really, really good at their craft. Whereas I think, it used to be sort of more of a long laundry list sort of spa type places where you could get these things done. And like that person might do one Brazilian a week or, one spray tan, and they weren't really they weren't experts. So we just really focus on these two services and make sure we're experts at it.
That's awesome. And I feel like you kind of touched upon this already, but what would you say? What unique value do sugared and bronzed services bring to your customers?
Yeah, I mean, we make our own sugar paste and airbrush tanning solutions, so we really try to make sure that's top notch. We also, have a really intensive training program. So, anyone coming in to learn how to sugar or spray is working on hundreds of training clients before they're ever touching a paid client. And then we always try to make sure our client experience and customer service is just top notch. That, if anyone ever has an issue, even if it's maybe something they did, like they spilled something on their tan before, they got to shower, that we're always just going above and beyond to take care of them.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And now that you've had this business for a while, also it's a very competitive and dynamic industry. So, what are some of the challenges of being the founder and president at Sugared and Bronzed? What do the day-to-day challenges look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, they're always different. When the business was small, the challenge was always cash flow and building out the next store, just creating brand awareness. And, now we're in a really different phase where we have 27, almost 30 locations and many more in the works. And so the problems are just different. It feels like a lot of the times we're being held up by city permits, by construction. And I would say hiring and training is just, I wouldn't call it, yeah, it's always a challenge in a way where, people are very dynamic. You could interview someone, they have a great interview, and then they start training and they're like not showing up, and so you're like, okay, now we have to rehire. So, it's definitely a people-centric business. And we always want to make sure that our clients feel really comfortable with everyone in any of our locations. So, if someone's not all that we thought that they were going to be, or they're just showing signs of someone who's not super committed, we're always having to look out for that and just making sure our standards are really high.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And based on that, what type of mindset would you say is needed in order to be a successful business founder?
Mindset, go mode, just being in go mode. I think that a lot of people get held up in like planning for the future. And I'm not saying don't make plans because that's silly, but I think being in the moment and planning for more the immediate future is much more beneficial. I love this Buddhist principle, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's something about if you put like more energy towards something that's going to happen in the future, like negative energy, you're actually just like adding more suffering to the event. And I think that half the time that event doesn't even happen, you're just anticipating it, or like, what if that happens? It's kind of like, I think I love that principle because you really need to just deal with things as they come in business, especially in a people centric business like ours. And you can't, I mean, a million things could go wrong every day. But I can't sit here and say, well, what if there's a flood in this store, or a fire in this store, or someone calls out in this store? Like, that's not going to serve me. It's just being ready to handle all the fire drills that come, and doing it with stride.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you so much for sharing this. I think it's very interesting. And yeah, I heard that too. I don't remember where I heard that, but it's like you're suffering twice,
Mm-hmm.
trying to anticipate and overthink about this type of things. Especially, I read an article the other day, I don't remember where, but um, someone was saying that the brain doesn't differentiate because between the um, stress that you actually live and the stress that you imagine in your head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So thinking negatively and thinking, what if this happens actually stresses your brain as much as if it was actually happening. So yeah, very
No, that's
interesting.
so real. And you become physically addicted to that stress, which I have done many times and had to rewire. And that's a very real thing. And then if you are addicted to like sort of that cortisol, high cortisol level, you're going to be creating that even when it's not, the stress isn't present. So it's a really dangerous mindset to be in. And I am someone who deals with a ton of anxiety. I'm not like Gandhi over here, like preaching how my life is anxiety free, and I've always done this perfectly. It's a daily practice for me, and something I think I've evolved to really put a lot of time into. Breath work, meditating, whatever it is to help me, not put myself in that daily mindset, because you can jump into it really fast without noticing and then just stay there. And it's just not a good place to operate from. Like operating from fear is just, yeah, it's not a good place, or stress.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Thank you so much for sharing this part of your experience. And now I want to transition a little bit into a different topic because, as you know, we're a data analytics company. So I'm always curious to hear about other people's experiences when it comes to data analytics in the industry. So for you, how does data influence decision making and strategies in the beauty industry?
Yeah, I mean, there's an overwhelming amount of data these days, I think, for so many industries. And it's a good problem to have, but it can be really, like I said, overwhelming. So, we always try to look at our client data, where are they coming from? What are they doing? I think industry trends can be a little bit tricky when you're looking at someone else's data. Of course, if it's demographics or something and you're looking to pick a location, that's a little bit different. But, in terms of industry trends, it's like, you could be it's like you don't know how those people are performing those studies. There's a lot of bad data out there, so we try to keep it as close to home as possible. How are our ads performing? What are our client habits? Things like that. And then I would also say that when it comes to like picking like a real estate location or something where we really do need to use external data, like of course we are looking to see, are our clients commuting across town? Have we had a lot of clients visit from this city? Should we go open in that city? So we can use some of that, but that's not enough to make all of our real estate decisions. So I would say, as we use, platforms like Buxton or, Experian data, that we are doing it while mixing it with intuition. So even if everything looks right on paper, if there's always has to be a gut check. And investors don't always like to hear that. They are like, no, why would the data says it's great? Why wouldn't you go there? And I'm just someone who always says I love data, but to me it's 2D and like life is 3D. So the gut check is kind of the 3D part. And if my intuition about any particular business decision is just really steering me the other way, I'll take time and really look into it, see if I can find more data. And if it still just isn't sitting right, I just won't do it.
Yeah, definitely agree. And I think you touched upon a very important topic about having enough volume of data and having data that is accurate and that is actually going to reflect the reality of the situation. And that's extremely important because numbers are great, but without the context and making sure that everything is accurate and formatted in the right way, it's not useful and it can actually be detrimental. But
Mm-hmm.
um,
Hugely detrimental. I was pregnant somewhat recently. I have a 11-month-old, and there's this Professor Emily Oster, and she writes some books about pregnancy and sort of like the early years of children, and puts, really vets these studies. And it's amazing how many decisions even our like very advanced medical industry and advice that they give patients isn't based on the really good data. And it's like you just kind of get one doctor's opinion on them looking at the data. And she was providing this book where it's like, you're the adult, you can look at the data, you can also make your own informed decisions. And this is not obviously if you're having a complication or whatever, it's just basic, caffeine or like anything like that in pregnancy. And I just found that whole sort of mindset really impactful. And now I feel like it's become the pregnancy book. And I feel like it's just come so far from what like our parents had to read or our mothers when they were pregnant. So I've really just tried to value that mindset and continually say, is this good data? Because, like I said, a lot of it's not.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I think in the time that we live in, we have access to so much information. So critical thinking is the most important thing. When you have access to all that information, you're always going to find sources that are going to contradict each other and everything. And so you have to just take what's correct and what's right, and use your critical thinking to make your own decisions based on the data that you can find.
Hmm.
But yeah, thank you so much for sharing this. And I want to ask you more specifically in your company, based on your customer data and everything, could you share some insights on the role of data analytics in understanding your consumer preferences and the trends that you see within your company?
Oh gosh, consumer preferences. I mean, we have just seen more and more people embrace our services. Kind of as I touched on earlier, I wouldn't say, there hasn't been a trend where people are like, oh, we all want Brazilians and now we're just going back to bikinis. Like it's just really stayed consistent. More and more people just want to come in for Brazilians. And same with tanning. I think more and more people just want to come in for a tan that is safe, that isn't going to cause skin cancer or wrinkles. So those are the trends we see. Of course, during the pandemic, we saw different trends given the situation. A lot more people were doing some DIY stuff, and then I think they very quickly, as soon as they could come back to us, they were like, no, that wasn't for me. Like, I'm one of those people. Like, I just don't have the patience or the skill set to paint my nails at home. I tried a couple times in the pandemic. I'm someone who I just have to go. I have to go to the salon. So I think a lot of people, are sort of in that boat when it comes to our services as well. So, but we do see, people buying self tanning products from us. We do have our own line of products, and there are situations where they don't have time to come in. They have young children, they have a last minute trip or date or something like that, and they just need a quick fix at home, or they use these products, to extend the life of the tan that they get in store. And then, of course, we have people buying our products from all over the country that don't, can't come into a Sugar and Bronze, maybe don't live near a place that offers airbrush training or something like that. So, we do see increase, in our product sales, but I don't know if that's necessarily saying the consumer is tanning more at home, because we're also seeing an increase in people coming in for in-store tans.
Okay, got it. That makes sense. And now I'm curious, what are the projects for Sugar and Bronze? What is your vision for the next 12 months?
We're at a really exciting time. We're signing about a lease a month. So, that sometimes translates to opening a store a month, depending on constructions and city permitting. That could be not opening three stores, I'm sorry, not opening stores for 3 months and then opening three stores in 1 month. So, we are opening a lot of stores. That's really exciting. Right now, Miami is opening in, I think, under a week here now, given the date. And that's our next new market. We're also looking at Washington, D.C. as a prospective new market. We are very close to signing a lease in San Diego, so that'll be another new market. We're also really changing up our product packaging in a way that's really true to the brand, but I think just exciting and refreshing. And just sort of updating some of our formulas, like any new R&D that's come down the line, like how can we're always looking to improve them. So we are just on the verge of, I just think, so many exciting things, and making our way to becoming really a nationwide brand, hopefully.
Awesome. That's very exciting. A lot of salons coming then. So now I have a last question, and it's a loaded one, but I like to ask it. I think it's a good way to kind of wrap things up. So what are some of the most important things you've learned in your career?
I mean, I'm always learning, but I have learned that, it's important not to sweat the small stuff. You usually figure out a way to work them out. And I think that's kind of being an entrepreneur, is like putting yourself in that position constantly, just problem solving. And a lot of, honestly, careers and jobs, like that is what you have to show up and do every day. Otherwise, a robot could do it. So sweating over every small thing just doesn't serve you. I think I just really used to do that. And then I think most importantly, just finding really, really great people, like surrounding yourself with a team where I really try every time we make a hire. Is this person smarter than me? Is this person better at me at this skill set? Because that is how you really, I think, grow an amazing company, an amazing brand. Move the ego aside. Certainly, like, I don't, when we sit down to a meeting, it never needs to be my idea. It just needs to be the best idea. So that's why I'm always looking to, surround myself with people that are even better than me. So we've, really been fortunate in building our team at Sugared and Bronzed. I think we just have so many go-getters, people that are truly friends, and people who are so good at what they do. And so it's been a really, really fun place to work, especially in the last couple years after we got out of the COVID hole.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing this. I think that's very good advice. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Now, for the people that are listening or watching and that want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
You can find me and the brand on a lot of social media. We're Instagram at Sugared and Bronzed, at Courtney Claghorn, on TikTok on the same usernames. Obviously, our website too, sugaredandbronzed.com. We also have an app. You can buy products directly from us or on Amazon or in our stores, and hopefully more places soon.
Okay, awesome. I'll put all that information in the description of the podcast. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Take care.
Thank you.